From the art of the deal to keeping it real. Live from the Simply Vegas studios, it's The Power Move with John Gafford.
Back again for another episode of The Power Move. I'm your host. My name is John Gafford. To my left is Colt El Scorcho Amidan.
I like that one.
How's that, dude?
You said Jesus, and you're like, I got a new nickname. I thought you were going to call me Jesus.
Yeah, when people are walking up to you asking you if you're from Bulgaria, I think we may have played it out too long. I think it's the Bulgarian mongoose. And they just hit me like a bolt of lightning. El Scorcho. I love it. I think
should have worn my hat.
Yeah, you should.
Trying to get me killed.
You should have.
Sounds like a WWE wrestler.
It is Colt El Scorcho Amidan.
It was supposed to change every week, by the way.
But we just got stuck on.
You got stuck. He was the polo assassin. I tried.
Yeah.
I tried.
You did try.
I tried.
You did try. Well,
Bulgarians
never lacking for a nickname. Across from us is also the counselor. How are you, Dr. Connel?
Very good.
Very good.
Doctor of Law.
In the studio with us today is Tommie Battaglia. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tommie is our guest today that has a little biz that's been doing pretty well. We want to talk about some insights with that. So we're going to bring him on. But we're going to get back to you in a second, Tommie, because there's lots of stuff to unpack.
Sounds good.
So first of all, trapped on a cruise ship. Holy shit balls, man.
Told you not to go.
You did tell me not to go. You did tell me not to go. And I've come to the conclusion with cruises, which is there are like how many days you should be on a cruise ship. And if it's like a 4-day cruise ship,
4 days too much.
You're good. No. If it's like 4 days, you're good. You're cruising around. You're doing the water slides. You're playing the bingo. You're watching the comedian. You're doing what you're doing, right? The problem is when you're on a 4-day cruise ship for 7 days. And that's when you're walking around and people are just sitting there playing cards with each other and looking like everybody's looking at their watch a little bit like, hey, what time we get off this? But at one of the stops, I was not aware of this, Colt. At one of the stops was in Mazatlan, and we went to a place called Stone Island. And it's your standard, sit at the beach place, water in the toes with the Corona in your hand, and then the people come and just hawk wares as you go along. I was not aware that they sell Mexican cartel hats, memorabilia, as they would like baseball teams here in the States.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that's very.
And me,
be careful.
Yeah, I didn't take a hat, so I was like, man, I need a baseball hat. And this dude had like one Yankees hat, and I was like, oh man, if you could find me like an Angels hat, or you can find me like Raiders, you find me something for Vegas, I'll buy it. And the guy, I'll be right back, senor. So he runs down the beach and comes back, and I found it, hey. And I'm like, no, that's a Diamondbacks hat, dude. I'm not buying that one. Then he's like, takes off again. And he comes back, and now he's got like something else that didn't make any sense. And I was like, no. And he comes back, he's like, senor, I can't find anything. Now I feel bad because the guy's run up and down the beach. So I'm like, all right. So I'm looking at all of the cartel merchandise he's got.
Can I take an El Chapo in a large?
No, he had it. He had they straight had El Chapo merch, right? So I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, which one of these which cartel is Colt root for? I don't know. I don't know Colt that well. So I went with the Sonola hat, which apparently is going to get him killed.
No, you shouldn't have done that.
I don't know.
No, La Juntas is his team. He's cheers for La Juntas.
Well, this is what I thought.
I don't cheer for anybody. I don't need to end up dead. Everybody knows where I smoke cigars. I love Mexico, and as a whole, I support everybody.
He also represents the East Side Crips. So
that's it. I don't know.
Any bloods out there that find that objectionable?
So
you guys are trying to get me killed.
I know. So if you're listening to this, and I think we're simulcast in Mexico, I believe we are. If you're listening to this and you see Colt in the Sonola hat, understand he's wearing it not so much for supporting your cartel, but because it was a gift. It would hurt my feelings if he did not.
It was $10, the cheapest hat they had.
It was the cheapest hat they had. We went with that.
Yeah, he's trying to get me killed out here.
I'll trade you a Papi Chulo extra small for your large El Chapo.
Go right for ahead. I'm like, because they had I think the hat said JGL on them.
Yeah, the Juntas Guard National, whatever.
Yeah, I said, what? Yeah. And they said, and the guy's like, how El Chapo is? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I didn't know he had merch. Wasn't aware.
The 7, they got like a area code too, not that they rep to. You don't want to get caught in that either. There's a lot of stuff. You got to be careful. It's pretty much he gave me a blood hat, making me walk down a Crips
Like I said,
here's are you going to get shanked from like random people, or is this like your wife is going to like shank you when you go home?
Probably both.
no,
Okay.
just the
All right.
Bloods. The dogs will get you.
Just the dogs will get you. All right. Well,
We're turning this an informational gangland.
Yeah, that was literally the highlight of the cruise, which is there. But
I told you not to go. I don't know why you go on cruises.
Well, you know,
worst thing ever.
I told my wife I'm retired. Well, here's the thing, though, man. It's not. If it was just me, and I hate to say this because I love my family, I love my kids, and if it was just me and my wife, it would have been okay because I'm fine to do nothing sometimes, and just because we're doing so much all the time. But it was a kids' spring break, and it's kind of what they wanted to do, and they were like looking at me like, "What do we do now? What do we do now? What do we do now? Yeah, dance, monkey, dance." And I'm like, I'm exhausted. Like I don't want to try to figure out where we're going next or this or that, and it was a lot.
Tommy, you like cruises? Because
Yeah, I love cruises. Been going on cruises for a long time. Been on about 9 or 10 of them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I've never been on one.
They've probably been on
Never.
about 40 cruises, my parents.
Really?
They love it.
They love it, dude.
They love it.
Well, this was the thing that was terrifying. This was the thing that was terrifying to me. As the last night at dinner, right? We're at dinner the last night, and the cruise director is like, "Thank you, everyone, for coming on Royal Caribbean, blah, 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 blah. How many of you will continue sailing with us tomorrow?" And it was like, hey, I'm like,
Where are they going to go?
"You're staying on this boat?" Like, I
you can
can't
retire.
wait to
Have
get
you
off.
seen the guy that's retired and just living on the boat?
And that's all he does.
One of my clients, who are we talking to? Now this is going to bother me. They paid, it was a friend of ours. I don't know if you know the Coutures. One of their friends.
Wait. You just dropped that name.
No.
You want to pick that up?
Emily Couture. One of her good friends.
I don't know if you know them, but the Kennedys,
No.
the Kennedy family.
Las
I
Vegas
found out
royalty.
I come from Kennedy bloodline.
So do I, but old in Ireland.
All right, go ahead.
No, so we were talking to one of her friends at her baby shower, and she's like, "Oh, my parents, blah blah blah, I've been driving their EV. I don't know when the hell they're going to come back because they went on a 4-month cruise. It was $120,000.
Now, see, here's the thing. Okay, back up. Let's talk about that. Because they do have like a cruise ship that's like a year cruise or something, but you go to 129 countries. So you're getting off of that thing almost every day.
Oh,
Like,
but
you're-
that's
I
so
mean, you
You
risky.
still got to get back on.
Let's say you don't like
Yeah.
it. Let's say you didn't like it.
Or
Yeah,
you're
you're
stuck
pocket
with a lot of horrible people. It's either you're stuck with a bunch of hot babes,
Yeah.
or you're not.
I guess they're extending by 3 months.
Well, I don't think that's your first cruise. I don't think you're like, we should try this out. Let's go on this 365-day jaunt. Let's do that. I mean,
That sounds miserable. Like absolute. I'd rather watch a Tom Hanks movie than do that.
you know what's funny?
How do you feel about Tom Hanks? Tommy?
I got sucked in this morning into one of the Ranker things, and it was talking about Tom Hanks, and it was things you didn't know about Castaway. And I'm like, I was expecting like 10, 9, 8, 7, 4. Colt Amidan hates this movie. Is what I expected to see in there. And I didn't. And it was, I'll send you the link.
I can't believe that movie made money. I'm telling you guys, we should be in the film industry.
Tommy, Colt despises, doesn't just dislike
Oh, I can hear it in his voice.
Tom
yeah.
Hanks.
You like Tom Hanks? You think he's got good movies?
I enjoy a lot of his films. I was thinking about
I don't
What?
think Castaway was one of the best ones.
Name
thought it
one
was
good one.
Saving Private Ryan.
Great.
The only thing that came from that is the knockoff porn. It's the only thing good.
Bachelor Party?
No, that's Saving Ryan's Private. Different movie.
It's a whole different thing. Oh man, well there you go. I was watching. It's funny. Did you guys see the Ben Shapiro kind of huff about the Oscars when he was like, "Nobody will ever watch this movie again"? Did you see this? The Everywhere, Every Now, that thing.
Oh, everything.
Have you watched it?
all at once.
One
I
of the
haven't.
worst movies I've ever seen in my
Holy
life.
smokes!
What
It
is
was
it?
difficult to watch. I watched it over the weekend on the old HBO there, and it was hard to watch. Man, it was like, what in the absolute hell is going on
Yeah.
in this movie?
My wife's Korean, and she absolutely loved it. And I think that's where we're like both lost. I'm like, do we?
Is it like a culturally? Is
it's
that
an
is that
Asian-
when Dada won?
It's
Is
a-
that the movie
it
Dada?
is.
It's a big Asian thing,
It
for
is,
sure.
but I think it's an Asian thing just because it stars a bunch of Asian folks. I think the whole premise of the multiverse cracking and all of these things happening in different alternate dimensions, and it's the same scene, kind
Inception
of
or
over and over
something.
and over.
Ooh, was
Really hard
way
to watch.
beyond that. Yeah.
Really, really hard to watch. But you watch
They
what he
won
said.
an Oscar or something? Because
It
I
did.
have not a clue what
It did.
we're talking about.
It did. But he was talking about if you look at the movies that win Best Movie every year, nobody ever goes back and watches them again. they're movies that
Step Brother should have won.
Yeah, like God forbid.
Titanic?
Right.
No, he says in the last 15 years what he's talking about. And he was naming off the movies, and you're like, yeah, wouldn't even see that. Like,
John, pull them up. What are the last 15
Colt, you're gonna have to do it. I left my phone
best-winning
out here.
films before we get to Tommie?
I'll get to
Because
that.
I want to see how legitimate I feel this
Yeah,
film
no.
is.
In some of them, you're right. There's the one of them I know
could
that
be
I have
very
watched
true.
again was The Green Book. I have watched that movie again.
Never heard
I
of
have.
it.
I thought it was a good movie. But it's like one of them was Particle, that Korean movie about, the contagions.
Okay.
That one Best Picture.
It won Best Picture?
Yes.
I haven't watched the Oscars in...
Yeah. One of them was like The
30
Shape
years
of Water.
Yeah.
Like when she fell in love with the alien fish or something.
I watched the
Green Book.
award shows
Yeah, what other- read them off, Cole.
Read them off, buddy.
Read them off.
Coda.
Nope.
Don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Shit. They just okay. Parasite. Don't know
Nope.
what that is.
Yeah, that's what-
Green
yeah.
Book. Don't know what it is. Shape of Water.
Terrible.
Horrible sounding. Moonlight. Don't know.
No.
Spotlight. Don't know.
Nope.
This one I'll give it. Birdman. Even though I never watched it,
But you
people
haven't
liked it.
You haven't watched it again.
No,
You watched it once.
There is one on here that I will say.
What?
Probably no. There's
Well, read 'em
there's
all.
a couple. We're
Read-
going.
read 'em.
Keep
Jesus.
Spotlight.
Colt's on his
Okay,
own podcast
I
in
know.
his head right
Spotlight.
now. Oh, yeah, I'd watch that again. Yeah,
Birdman. I'll give Birdman. Michael Keane. 12 Years a Slave. Don't know. Argo. Can't stand him, but that was a great picture. I'll give Argo.
He's handsome as hell, but that's...
You think so?
Well,
Oh, come on, no.
Dude,
Dude, he is a 6 at best.
Have you seen the Louis C.K. bit where he's talking about how irritating Goodwill Hunting is?
no.
He's on there.
I've never watched it.
Dude,
Tried to watch it last
no.
Saturday. Couldn't.
He's out there.
It's
He's
horrible.
like, the reason I hate that movie is because Matt Damon also wrote the movie.
Yeah.
He's like, so Matt Damon's sitting there and he's like, number one, I'm awesome. I'm a construction worker and I fight a lot. Like I fight a lot. And my friends are like, oh my God, you're out of control. You fight so much. And I'm like, I don't care because it's just the way I am. But I'm also a genius. Like,
I try to
don't even,
watch
I don't
it.
even have to study. I just know these things. And the people that are real geniuses, other geniuses have to study. They're like, so just like, oh, you're so smart. I don't know what it is. He's like, it just wouldn't happen.
It
doesn't happen.
I would say it's from 2010
Anymore?
on.
Cool. I haven't...
The King's Speech,
Not.
Slumdog Millionaire.
It's a great movie.
Great movie.
Okay,
That's a
we're
great
getting in some decent ones.
You've
No
named
Country
10
for
and one is
Old
great.
Man.
No Country
Yeah.
for Old Man's good.
Great movie, but see, what year was that? We're past the 15
Yeah,
year
yeah,
mark
that
now.
was
08?
09,
Yeah.
08 thing. The Party.
There
Best.
will be blood.
See,
Great.
08? Like, look at, let's go from 95. No.
You're not going to find Die Hard in there.
Welcome back to the
Let's
power
go from
film.
91 on. Dances with Wolves. Good.
Great.
Silence of the Lamb.
Great.
Unforgiving.
Great.
Schindler's List.
Great.
Perfect. Forrest Gump. Get the hell out of here.
Forrest Gump.
Braveheart. The English
Braveheart.
Patient. Titanic. Shakespeare's in Love.
Yeah.
American
Okay.
Beauty.
Okay.
Gladiator.
I've seen
Beautiful
all of
Mind.
these again.
I've seen all those
Chicago.
again.
Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings. $1 Million Baby. Crash. The Party.
Terrible. Worst movie ever made.
What?
What, Million Dollar Baby?
$1 Million Baby.
Didn't like it.
Didn't like it
Jay Z's got a great.
That was a
Great.
pile of shit.
But Jay Z has one of the best lines in rap history using $1 million.
Another $1 billion baby.
$1 million in the bank. All right, sorry, but that's it. As we go through, half of
like,
these people
man's
suck at
on
making
film.
movies. I think we could make a movie and get Best Picture awarded in 24 months,
Oh, I think we could.
and we'll do it on the
Didn't we talk?
Samsung.
Oh, yeah. This is the movie where you were going to hunt people.
No, that was
the idea?
get me on a 7-episode of Netflix.
Survivor. Yeah.
That's right.
I know we could easily write a Netflix. There is so much shit on Netflix that is shit.
I got to tell you, I had my eyes opened huge this weekend. I had a meeting this weekend. I won't go too far into it because it still hasn't produced anything great yet. But I had a good meeting this weekend. And some people flew into town to meet with me. And we were talking about the state of television with non-scripted television is what we're talking about. And apparently, I didn't know this, but Warner Brothers has purchased Discovery. And like every channel that's out there, there's really only two players in the non-scripted television genre. There's Viacom, which owns MTV and Real World and all that stuff. And then there's Discovery, which owns TLC, HGTV. I mean, all of those channels. And apparently Warner Brothers had bought Discovery and essentially just started consolidating and hacking everything out of there. So it used to be like if you had a development project, you would take it to like one of the networks and talk to them. But now apparently you walk into a room and they're all sitting there. Yeah. And they're all like double jobs. And then they're like, oh, that would work for me, wouldn't work for you. And it's a very strange thing. So yeah, it's amazing how quickly things are evolving in the entertainment world, because I got to believe they're losing eyeballs to the web. I mean, how much longer?
Just too much content.
Yeah, but exactly? How much longer can these TV channels even exist anymore? If you think about like when Friends went off the air, like how many millions of people watched that? When's the last time that many millions of people watched anything?
OnlyFans.
Okay, there you go.
What's the Tiger King?
The Tiger King. Yeah, okay.
They have contents, but they've just put them
Have
out
you
in
watched
bingeable chunks.
Gunther's Millions?
Not yet.
That's a pretty good one. You guys should watch that. It's a little messed up in the head.
Just before we get to Tommy, I promise we're going to get to you. But one more thing. No, one more thing, because I have these things I want to talk about, and I find them interesting. But they just launched the first humanless McDonald's in Denver, Colorado this week.
Good.
There's not one human that works in the building. Everything, it's like a giant vending machine at McDonald's. So there's people that are outraged at this, that somehow they're replacing humans and killing jobs and this and that.
Don't go there.
Well, here's my thing. So this is the discussion I want to have about McDonald's, and it's not really what you think. So obviously, I am of the camp that job was never designed to be a job where you can earn a living wage. It's not what it's designed for. It's designed for 16-year-old kids to go after school and make some money.
It's their first job.
Your first job.
I'll push back on that. I don't think it was designed to be anything. I think its inputs just don't require a high level of training.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. But the question is, if you think about it, I've thought about this a lot. Like, when did it become a job that you could not hire 16-year-old kids? And it's when McDonald's started serving breakfast. When it started having to open at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, you had to get there. And then they went to 24 hours. Now you can't have kids working there. So whose fault is this, Connell? What say you? Is it the greedy corporations that don't want to acquiesce to the living wage of their employees? Is it the store for being open 24 hours? Is it just... is it the unions or whatever else that push so much for these increases in minimum wage that this is the result of that? What says you?
Well, so that's a very complicated economic question.
Answer the question, Connell. 20 seconds.
So I worked at Burger King at lunchtime. They paid for my hour of work, plus I got a free lunch, and I could go do it, whatever. So I did that at lunchtime. I spent my lunch working at Burger King, flipping burgers, literally. Yeah. I worked very menial jobs when I was 15, 16, and happy to have them. And a lot of people didn't. I worked graveyards when I was 16 on weekends. I worked the midnight shift.
In the graveyards or
No.
Okay,
No,
sorry.
Just for fun.
I'm like, damn, Connell, that's hard.
My life would have probably been threatened less frequently.
Working in the graveyard.
If I'd been attacked by knives and stuff.
Yeah, Colt's like, is the graveyard hiring?
No,
like,
but
I'd work there.
Bill Gates talked about that a long time ago, about the unintended consequences of pushing a minimum wage. Because in economics, in pure economics, I don't know any good economist who is a neutral, who sits there and says that, yes, minimum wages or economic floors are good. They're bad because there's what's called, dead weight loss. I don't want to break out the chart, but there's a supply curve and a demand curve, and where they intersect is its natural balance point, right? Now, there's people that will be willing to work for less, and there's people that want to work for more, and then it'll decrease demand and supply, this whole thing. So when you increase the cost, right, of a unit of labor to a certain point, there will be less demand, and there's more people that would do it for that price, and there's fewer people that will pay you to do it. So it creates this triangle of dead weight loss. So what that does is it's actually a net detriment to your economy.
Okay. Colt.
I would have said the same thing.
Colt, rebuttal.
But
I think that it's those are good jobs, right, for a lot of immigrants, right, stuff that come into. No, it is a lot of language, right? Like language, while you're trying to learn language.
Called Amidan. Do not reflect the feelings.
No, there's if you go, especially around my neighborhood or into LA, there are people that are learning the language, and it is a good job for them to be able to have.
Can they read the word Sinaloa?
Sinaloa.
Sinaloa.
Okay, go ahead.
Says it's so white. Huh?
All right.
No, but
Shocking.
I think that there is always going to be replacements for stuff that can be odd. Just bam, here it is. Flipping burgers, cooking stuff that can be done. But those jobs, there's going to be other jobs created, right? That people can go make money. But yeah, I mean.
Or there won't be.
Or there won't, and then you better be educated and you better figure stuff out. But I don't think, at least in our lifetime, that we're going to see a lot of people, if you look back in the 30s and 40s, they had this big fear too, right? And there was probably just as much, going on during those times as there is now with robots, with the assembly lines, with stuff like that. So I think that a lot of people...
John is just chomping at the bit.
Go ahead.
We have literally AI right now.
1950s robots.
But
all I can picture is that one from Lost in Space is spinning around.
If you were sitting
Will Robinson
in 1920 and you hear all these new things coming to, they thought the exact same thing. So is AI crazy? Yeah, I think AI, I told my son, you want to be a computer designer and stuff?
Yeah.
I'd probably look at that.
Colt,
if I want to be a lender, I would probably rethink that because all this stuff's going to be auto.
Right. 1920s, though, they were worried about the Irish and Italians taking their jobs.
I'm saying, if you go back...
Storm the docks!
There was a big change and a lot of stuff that was, they took our jobs type of deal.
That was Henry Ford. Henry Ford in the automation of the car plants.
There was so much at that point.
Right.
It wasn't just that, right? There is thousands of inventions in that 20 years.
With true AI, though, and true automation, that was Andrew Yang. His whole premise of the universal basic income. You're going to get to a point where people actually, there are no jobs for you. It's not just
I agree.
There are these shifts, right? And John, remember we were talking about, we didn't get through the whole thing, but you talked about the exponential shifts in societal pressures and exponential shifts in a technology that it's not just slightly different. It's a paradigm way.
Sure.
So this type of thing with true AI and automation, right, with almost sentient things that can start building themselves, that's going to cause a massive decrease in employment for a ton of jobs.
Well, like today, before you guys got here, what was I doing? I unemployed a graphic artist. I unemployed a web designer. I unemployed all of those people using AI today. And it's easy and simple to do.
But you're an early adopter. It'll take time. You're an early adopter of technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But so was my dad. But now my dad's on the internet and has Facebook. He is truly a Luddite. He was on a typewriter in the 2000s.
Yeah.
So, but even he has adopted, right? It takes time for a lot of people, but the next generation that is raised with it, it won't take them much time.
Can you imagine trying to explain AI to Nana? I mean, which got the blinking 12 on the VCR.
Nana, try to explain it to freaking 30, 40-year-olds that don't, like, it's not old, just like those old people, like, oh, they can't work a fax, they're trying fax machine. These people still, like, you know how many people have asked me, do you use AI? What's this chat GPT like? How does this work? And you try to explain them, they're like, I don't understand. It's
really strange. I mean, honestly, like
we just had the conversation.
It's really strange to me when people are like, what is this? Like, I mean, I had somebody this week hit me up and be like, hey, what was that site that exactly the process I outlined for you earlier? And they said, what was that site that would do that? And I'm like, that was like 2 months ago. Like, really? Like,
Google.
Yeah.
It's so far in the rear view of what I've, figured out how to do with this thing now. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's this. And they were like, oh, my God, this is amazing.
Yeah. When I came in today, I was like, oh, who did this website? What is this design? He's like, just AI did it.
It's just a lot of bloody graphic designers.
Yeah. I was like, this is amazing.
But
this
it's
is
only
somebody who went to school for 20 years for this.
Yeah, that's why I told my kid, like, look how this is already changing it. And this is 3 or 4 years into it, right? Imagine this is when it's 10 years into it, 15 years into it. I mean, I remember being on Google's first little Gmail beta, like, it was cool, not that cool. Now, everybo's got Gmail. Like, it's moved so quick and stuff will move that quickly. But
I was only ever alpha. Cool.
Yeah. Well, like I've said,
such an alpha move right there.
I'm telling you,
an alpha move. We are 23 minutes in. And
23 minutes in.
It's just... said his name.
I wouldn't talk to El Scorcho like that.
I know.
It's going to be serious.
Yeah.
I like the new nickname.
I like it too.
Got a Joe.
Spell it for me so I can write
Great
it down.
Weezer song, by the way.
And that's why I heard it. And I was like, oh, El Scorcho. Oh, my God, that should be Colt's
I think
nickname.
Weezer's coming in concert soon.
I think they are. Anyway, back to this. So I tell my kids all the time, I'm like, look, if you want a job that's gonna be around for a while, you have one skill set I think I would develop, and that is the ability to sit in front of somebody else and connect with them on a deep and personal level,
1,000%,
and move them over. Because all your friends who have their faces in their phones are not going to have that skill. That's it. And speaking, see that's a segue right there. Speaking of the ability to sit with someone and grant needs and get them what they need. I want to talk to Tommie. I almost forgot you were here.
How you doing? I'm here.
I almost forgot you were here. I can't forget it's you though, because your name is tattooed on your leg.
That's right.
And the question becomes, is that so if we find you, we know who you are? If you're terribly burned, is it like a dog tag?
No. My mom told me when I was 22 years old, she's like, never get a tattoo, disown you from the family.
Yeah.
So when I moved to Vegas, the first thing I did was got tattoos.
That's
And
the first thing.
not a lot of them, just, things that were important to me. My last name, the name of my company, Gaetano,
Got it.
my wife's name.
Well, Gaetano.
Ooh, your wife. That's
Well, that's
I might have gone that
I'm
one.
branded. It's in Korean, so
Smart.
If that
Smart
doesn't
move.
if that doesn't work out, then
You can just
No, it
say
just means
peace.
soup. That's all it says.
I just
Means dragon.
I had this random Korean guy come up to me in the gym, and he would tap me on the back, and he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "It's my wife's name." He goes, "Oh man, she's a lucky lady." And I was like, "How do you know that about her by coming up to me in the gym?"
Yeah.
Like, this is weird.
Because it actually says her name and then the word bitch.
No,
It says that you are her bitch is what it says. That's what I meant to say.
It does not.
Yeah.
He might have, I think
How
he
would
just-
you know?
I think he just thought you were cute, Tommy. I mean,
That's it. That's it.
she's a lucky lady to have a guy like you.
That's exactly what it was. Little smack on the ass as you head over the squat rack.
Like, dude, let me turn around first.
Anything to talk to this guy. Oh, God. He was thinking about it for weeks.
I need an in. I need an in. Gotta go
I
in.
got my
You might
opportunity.
wanna
He wore a
go,
tank top.
Yeah.
You might want to go a
Sick
different gym
bastard.
after this.
Sick
Like every
bastard.
time I go shower, he's there.
Oh, God. Well, tell us about Gaetano, man. Tell us about what the business does.
So Gaetano is a custom handmade suit company. We take about 22 different points of measurements. We design for a lot of athletes, a bunch of the Golden Knights and Raiders, Steve Aoki in town, Chris Connelly right next to me. And
Connell Law, Connell Law,
yeah.
702 Connell.
Absolutely. And then Mr. Gafford as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, we do a great job. It's it's all about you being your own designer. So you get to pick the fabric, you get to pick the inside lining, the buttons. It's amazing. People that were off the rack shoppers now come and they get custom suits and they feel honestly way better about themselves. Like
Yeah.
a really great fitted suit is what every guy needs.
So that's what you do. And that's what you do. But let's go back before that and
Yeah.
get to how we got there. Because part of, the podcast here and part of what we try to do is help people escape what I like to call the drift. There's a lot of people out there that are maybe just moving through life aimlessly and they're not attacking in a way that makes sense.
Yep.
And you're a guy that's obviously done that. So this is a company that you built from the ground up. This was an idea you had and you just went and got it done.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So what were you doing before this?
So I was working in the nightclubs for Vegas, Chateau, open Hakkasan nightclub, and slowly I decided that, yes, you're making $120,000 a year being, just pouring drinks, whatever you're doing, going through the motions, working 4 days a week. It's super easy, but you went to college. You're not doing or amounting anything of yourself, right? Like back home, I'm from Long Island, New York, and back home, my parents would go out to dinner with their friends, and Jimmy, Joey, and Tony, they're all lawyers, doctors, whatever, right? Yeah, what's Tommy do? He's a busser in Vegas. Great for me, making the
Making
money
more
I am,
money than them.
but it's not like a respectable thing, right? And I'm all Italian from New York, all about
You're
family.
shaming the family.
Yeah, it's terrible. I'm the only child. I want to make a name, for myself, and make my parents proud.
I
So
told you this.
Meanwhile, Bobby, Tony, and Johnny are sitting there going, "God, I wish I lived Tommy's life.
Yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
paying, wasn't
This
paying
dude's in
$4,000 in
Vegas.
rent in the island."
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, I decided that I needed to do something else while I was working there. So I met this guy, and he was from Thailand, and he had a multi-generation family business, right? 4 or 5 years generation, and they did it all. And he was like, I want to expand my business to America. And I was like, I have a little loose change. Let's start a business together. And we opened up a brick and mortar store here in Las Vegas. And that went on for a really long time.
But you're missing a lot of steps there. So you open a brick and mortar shop selling suits. Like off the rack suits or custom suits?
Custom handmade suits. The same thing I'm doing now.
Right. But here's the thing though. You didn't just say we're going to open up here we are, we're open.
Right.
Like there's a process that goes into that.
Of course, yes.
So did you have to raise capital? Did you have to, what was that process? Did you bootstrap this yourself?
Yeah, it was going to be, the financials were coming from, the Hakkasan money, maybe a couple little investors here and there. And then the guy, Bob, he was going to teach everything, right? How to measure, bring the sample
Because he'd
books.
done this. This is what he does.
Oh yeah, and he was going to have us use his production company over in Thailand.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So you got your seamstress folks from him.
My tailoring, my measuring skills, I would
No,
say.
no. But I meant the people that actually manufacture the suits.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So you didn't have to go wander the streets of Thailand.
No,
Like
no.
I just picture it like raining and you're on like a tuk-tuk and you're like, I need a seamstress. Where should I go?
Yeah, no.
And then like
Up
you know,
with
yeah.
something
Someone took
else.
pity on you.
Yeah, it's
come
terrible.
in, come in, child.
Yes, come in. Let guide me in. So it's not so not okay.
Take this lost American boy and show him the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that was it. Didn't happen.
It was already set up already. They
Jesus.
had the
All right.
production and everything, and it was
All
good
right.
to
So
go.
the lesson there then is if you want to get into a business, it's better to find somebody that already knows what the hell they're doing and partner with them.
Exactly.
So what did you bring to that partnership? How did you land this guy to get him to agree to do this with you? What were you bringing to the table, my friend?
He always wanted to create American business, but he did not have an
Where did you meet this
American
guy?
At the nightclub.
Okay.
Like at the table. I was serving his table. He bought bottles and stuff, and I was pouring him drinks, and we were shooting the shit, and I found out what he was doing, and and then I was like, okay, well, if you want an American person to help you out do this, I'm kind of the guy.
You could just say I'm a
shit,
silver-tongued
huh?
devil, and he just
Yeah.
went, that guy.
Well, you know,
Was that how much of that conversation happened that night at the club?
You know, very loose conversation. Obviously, he was in town for about a week and a half, so we had several meetings after that. How we're going to execute, what he was going to bring to the table, what I was bringing to the table, how we were going to find the brick and mortar spot. Did we really need that, et cetera.
all those things.
Awesome.
So he went back to Thailand, I'm assuming. He was there and you're here.
Yeah, what he did before was he had clients, and then he would go to San Francisco, LA, meet those people, sell them suits out of his suitcase, basically, and do what we were going to be doing, just in a centralized location in Las Vegas.
In one place.
Yep.
So the lesson there, kids, is the more hands you shake, as Brad Lee would say, the more money you make. Just from being out, being around, and sparking up a conversation.
networking.
You never know. But I would think also you had to have been pretty confident in your sales skills at that
Exactly.
point, which is what you were bringing to the table.
Yep, 1,000%. So, you know, the people that I knew from Hakkasan, I knew, well, boom, I was going to start there, and then it was going to branch out from there. And
Did you try to, because Hakkasan's they buy all their suits for their guys, right?
No, not in the beginning. They were buying them on their own.
Okay.
So they were buying them on their own, and I was giving them the greatest deal. So it wasn't about making a lot of money in the beginning. It was about more suits on people's bodies. It was like free advertising,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So yeah, hook them up with a suit. They're wearing it. They love it. They tell somebody. Complete word of mouth business for like the first 5 years.
Wow, you know what? I just had a genius idea. Check this out, Colt. Here's what it needs to do. Every suit you make, right? You just write "Suits by Gaetano" on the back of it with a highlighter. And then when they go to the nightclub, you just walk around with a black light. You just hit them and they'll have no idea.
Genius.
They'll be right there. They'll have no clue.
Genius.
You know,
This is
some
why I
sort of
make the big
stitching.
bucks.
You know, Alexander McQueen was a very famous designer. He got his start on High Street making suits, but he was making suits for like princes and all that stuff on High Street. And he would graffiti and spray paint on the inside of the suit, talking shit.
See,
like,
this is not a bad idea.
Eat the rich, all this stuff inside the suit, so
cool.
nobody would ever know, right?
Yeah.
And you'd get it. It would be Prince Charles wearing this suit, and meanwhile, it's like eat the rich, like fuck the monarchy.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
so inside
Inside
the
that
lining.
nobody saw. So it was
Yeah.
like a silent protest.
No shit.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Well, good for him. So you get the business going with this guy. So of the capitalization of the business, how much did you bring to the table? What did he bring to the table initially?
He brought $0 physical dollars.
'Kay.
Because he was going to produce the suit.
He was the connection. That was
Exactly, yeah. Without him, the business does not exist, right?
it. Okay.
And then the raised capital to open the brick and mortar was about $35,000.
Okay,
in
so
the
there you go.
beginning.
35K.
So not too bad. Didn't break the bank.
Where'd you set up?
It was we started at LLC, and then it was on Jones and Bedora. It was 600 square foot place. Just walk in, no real foot traffic or anything,
And that was that.
and that was that. And then I'll tell you what happened moving
Yeah.
further down the line. Yeah,
So you get open. You have the brick and mortar.
it's going great.
Now, so have you guys agreed everything you generate, you're splitting the profits 50-50?
There was one other partner. It was 33.5% each.
to each.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What did the other partner bring to the table?
a little bit more capital later on down the line, and then sales ability.
Okay, so you and your other partner were working in the store. Our other partner is off in Thailand,
coming back and forth from time to time, like helped us get the shop set up, brought all the suit samples over there, like so current jackets, like he brought all the inventory of like, you know, the show pieces, because it was all custom handmade. We didn't have like 42 regular off the rack sizes. So we didn't need any physical inventory. We needed lookability inventory. Yeah.
And then what went wrong?
So we are in business for about 8 months, and we find out, because somebody went to Thailand, that it did not cost what he was saying it cost to make the suit.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Yep. And so he was triple Xing whatever it was to make the suit. So he was making double money on top of the 33.5% sales. So he was double dipping, and none of the sales were brought by this man. Like, it was by everybody else.
Yeah, you could backdoor that on a white label
it's
basis.
Yeah. Here's the lesson on that, kids. He who controls the inventory controls the business. That's how it works.
Know your shop before you shoot it.
Exactly. And if you can create your own factory or do everything in-house, then that is the absolute way to go, because you control everything
but you don't know.
from the start. Yeah, you don't know.
You don't know. You don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Yep.
So
figure this out, and then I'm like,
so what happens? You figure this out.
Yeah, are you kidding me? You know what I mean?
Can you do it more in New York for me?
Are you fucking kidding me, bro? Like, honestly, like, get out of here, dude. You're double dipping. Like, dude, this isn't going to fly. Like, go back to Thailand. We'll see you later. Yeah. And then we basically X'd him out of the company, figured out what we needed to figure out from that point.
Did you fold the company and start a new one?
We did not. It didn't get this brash. We were a little calmer in the beginning, because we knew that if we ended this right now, we have nothing to back us up. So we needed to play it off. So the other partner went to Thailand as I'm playing it off cool that we really don't know anything. Right. And he finds the current company that we use for production.
Okay.
Yep. And so once that was established and good, and I'm saying he did the research of hundreds and hundreds of companies that are over there. It's pretty overwhelming, and found these amazing people.
Was he in the tuk-tuk? Was it raining? That thing?
On the back of a scooter.
See, now I get now. Yes, now I get there. Food poisoning. We're all in.
Absolutely. Yep. So find that company. He comes back. Once we're established, and we start having a good relationship with this new company, then we hit Bob with, "What the fuck are you doing?" And that's it. He left, basically. Literally, he had a working visa. He had a working green card. Yeah. So he could only be here if the business was open. So he had a...
So you folded the business at that point?
Closed, yes.
So you shut down the store, but you're still trading on the same name, yes?
Opened a new LLC with me and the other 33.5% partner.
Okay. And he never came back and legaled up over that?
No, he couldn't. His name wasn't really on anything.
Okay, so... There's a business lesson. Do business with immigrants, because no, I'm kidding. It's a terrible thing.
Don't not do business with immigrants.
You're getting mad at me. I'm getting canceled. John's getting us canceled.
Yeah, we're getting canceled. No. The point
again, we love
the point being is consult an attorney before you make any dissolvable. Yes. I have a case right now that's going through the same thing. These people are going over it. There was an agreement that one would sell to the other, but he needed to pay this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't pay this person, yet he's taking off the bank account, start taking money out of the table, all this other stuff. I'm like, you're both still partners.
Yeah.
there's no transference of assets. There's no transference. There's no purchase agreements that have been executed and performed. There's no membership share agreement transfers. You need to take ownership of shares.
Yeah.
Of membership interests.
I would say very lucky you pulled that off. If you're dealing with a lot of people that are all based in this country, do not fold your LLC and then try to open another one to try to trade them the same name.
I knew who my partner was and what I was doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure if it was,
I just didn't want anybody to hear this and think, well, I got this dead weight. I'll just fold it and move on.
But again, to Tommie's point, you would have a breach of fiduciary duty. They could sue him too.
Yeah.
So in that thing, when you're trading against your own company, you're breaching the fiduciary duties of good faith and fair dealing. Tommie would actually have a cause of action against him.
Yeah. Right.
So this empty LLC that doesn't have any money isn't worth anything for this guy to come and combat, when they could sue him for unjust enrichment for prior income made.
And have it laid out in the partnership agreements too,
listen,
right?
absolutely, there's a lot of different angles to this.
I got your back, Tommy.
It sounded really no. I wasn't trying to make him sound terrible. It was a little clean. Like he left.
I'm a brash New Yorker. I don't know how to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry.
That was it.
Hey,
So
beat it, pal.
no.
Hit the bricks.
So moving on now. You guys are open just yourself. You folded the store.
Yep.
You obviously see that being one-on-one, being mobile is the better way to do this business, not having to be anchored to a store.
Yep. Too much overhead, $6,000 in overhead at that store. Got 0 walk-in clients because the business is
Personal
it's a personal relationship, and it's also on an appointment only relationship.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the mall or in one of the casinos, you don't have foot traffic really. There's not a lot of foot traffic out here in Vegas.
Yeah. So you guys have built a pretty large clientele here in town now. I know here in Vegas you do over 100 suits a month, I think you said.
Yeah, about 100 a month.
100 suits a month. And how do you leverage your existing business to create new relationships?
The athletes, the celebrities, the people like yourself, right? Hey, I do suits for John Gafford and Chris, right? Like those are all reputable names, and people are like,
I got 2, and one I got a Connel logo inside my suit.
Yeah,
it's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a suit.
Yeah,
in a suit.
So
it's my logo for my business.
Yeah, guys like you, it's people look up to you in the city, right? So
well, it's just because I'm tall. I mean, yeah. Chris looks down on me. He looks down on me all the time.
Yeah, but from
because your seats are way up there.
Wow!
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, wow! Can you get one with Woody in your?
Hey, Colt. We're 40 minutes in and we haven't talked about jiu-jitsu yet. Did you notice that? I don't want to say anything, but
I already.
You know what I started doing?
My class this morning at 8. I had class this morning at jiu-jitsu at 8.
There it is.
Nice.
So
I started playing tennis.
You did start playing tennis.
I did.
You know what's
what were you saying?
You know what? Hang on. I'm gonna hijack this for a minute because it's something we didn't talk about that was very important already over the weekend, which is basically as I sit here and give Chris shit for being a Canadian in this podcast every week, and he acts like none of my stereotypes are true. He takes me out with 6 Canadian construction workers on St. Patrick's Day night, and every single one of my stereotypes is dead on. Yes or no, Kelsey?
Hard to defend.
Yes or no?
Hard to defend.
Yeah, when you're looking on, hey there, Tudor. Which was one of the guys' names. There you go. All right, I digress. Back to you. Sorry. So, you built this business. Where do you see this business going, man? Where do you see it? How are you going to scale it up? Are you happy where it's at? Are you trying to scale it bigger? What is the plan?
Yeah. So right now, I do it all by myself. My wife runs the social, but other than that, it is a very logistical company, planning the fittings, et cetera, et cetera. Where it goes next is get an assistant to help do all those things and make the suit sales go easier, go from 100 to 200. It can be 500 suits a month. The production company can handle that. That's not a big deal. Franchising. That's where I'm going is franchising the business. So I got a guy in LA, I got a guy in New York now, and basically I teach you the business. So I teach you how to measure. I teach you, I get you the sample book.
What does that non-compete look like?
What does the non-compete look like?
For these guys you're training?
Non-circumvent.
So
non-compete, non-circumvent in place?
Exactly. Yes, and then also per location, like you can't be in a certain amount of radius. So like if 2 guys are in Long Island and they're in like 5 towns over from each other, they cannot have this, they can't open the franchise there. It wouldn't work because 2 guys would be selling the same, if not similar suits, right?
Cannibalizing the geographic area.
Yeah, it would, exactly. Put it great. Yeah. So that is the next and the steps that we're taking now for the franchising.
Got it.
What's your
are you
okay,
well, hang on real quick. When you say I'm selling franchises, wouldn't it make more sense just to have employees in these markets?
No. Because the employees don't have the passion as the owner does. The employee needs to have some sort of skin in the game to be doing. This is a very personable thing, right? Measuring people, you have personal clients. It's really the franchisee making this his dream or his passion.
Fair enough.
What about commission?
Fair enough.
What about commission based?
Yes, commission based 100% works, depending on what the
Well, that's what
is.
when I say employees, I mean
commission based.
Commission based
That's what I mean.
employees.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, no, not an hourly employee.
Yeah, it's eat what you kill. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but also that person has to have
Connections.
really, passion, connections, and really, eat, breathe, and sleep the business.
Bro, I'll throw it out to you. If it was me, I would be getting on a plane. I'd be going to Dallas. I'd say, what's the best nightclub in Dallas? I would go to the door guy at that club, and I'd say, bro, I can make you twice as much money as you're making here. Because that's a guy that knows everybody already anyway. And I would just hit all the best door guys in every big market.
Door guys, or like Tommie was doing. Like if you're inside doing internal bottle sales, you weren't busting, right?
I think the guy at the door knows. I think
It was a.
you would know this, Tommie, because who knows more, the guy that's really controlling the front door or the people in the club?
The guy at the front door.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
because he knows everybody.
Yeah. Do you know the story about Craig? Craig's in L.A. He was the maitre d' for a very famous restaurant, and he got so famous doing that. Like, hey, I'll get you a reservation. Celebrities, whatever, I'll get you a reservation.
That he just opened his own spot.
Yeah, called Craig's, like one of the most famous
love
restaurants.
Craig's. I love
in LA.
Craig's.
Yeah, that's the story. Craig
good
started as a maitre d' doorman, and that's where he is now.
Joe Stone.
Well, dude,
is not the
yeah, same thing. Well, dude, I'm so glad you came in, man. I'm proud of the business. I think it's great. I think it's going to keep going good. There's a lot of lessons in there
Thanks a lot.
for things to do and things not to do. Obviously, anytime you have a partnership that falls apart, you want to learn from that as well and do that.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start doing 45-minute podcasts instead of an hour. And here's why. Because my good friend Dan Fleischman, who just started his podcast, it's already up to number 4 on the Apple deal, Money Mondays. So check that out for Dan. If he wasn't such a nice human, I would hate him that he's been doing this for like a minute and it's already up to number 4. But Dan's a great human. But Dan says, he's like, no, I do my podcast 40, 45 minutes because the average commute in the United States is 40 to 45 minutes. The average workout's 40, 45 minutes. So
I like it.
if you've been working out on the treadmill, listen to this, and you're starting to sweat, I'm gonna let you get off because we're gonna be done with this. So Tommie, how do they find you?
Go to @Gaetano Fashion. It's GAETANO Fashion, one word, and that's the website. That's the Instagram, and that's how you find me.
There you go. Connell, how do they find you?
702 Connell for all your car
702
accident
Connell.
needs. Car accident needs.
702
Connell.
Connell.
Connell.com.
There it is. Colt.
AmidanGroup.com or 702roofing.com.
702 Roofie. No, not roofie. Is it roofie or roofing?
That's my next business
Okay,
venture.
702 roofie.
Got some guy in the alley.
I'm pretty sure that's
my
some
next
guys
one.
that already had that kid. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks a lot.
Hey, it's John Gafford. If you want to catch up more and see what we're doing, you can always go to thejohngafford.com, where we'll share any links things we talked about on the show, as well as links to the YouTube where you can watch us live. And if you want to catch up with me on Instagram, you can always follow me at thejohngafford. I'm here. Give me a shout.